What's up, Internet Land? This is Zachamus Prime, aka Zachamus Prime, here with another Transformers third party review. And the figure I'm reviewing today, I've actually had it for a while, but I haven't reviewed it yet because I just haven't got around to it until I had some time, and I was like, I should review it. So, this is the Unique Toys Challenger. This is their second release in sort of a movie masterpiece thing. And I picked this up specifically because when I picked up their Peru kill, I was so impressed with it that that I decided that I was gonna, get this one too because they both looked really great. And this figure is really good. I'm not gonna say that it's as good as Peru kill. He's got some things on him that are a bit janky in comparison. But I mean, gosh, it just cleans up really, really well. I mean, look at that. Compare that with the whatever the last movie was called last night, Voyager class Optimus Prime. It's just really, really well done. He comes with quite a number of accessories. So first of all, I had thought that this guy was really well in scale with all the other movie masterpiece figures. Turns out he's a little tall. Um, somebody somebody pointed out to me that he's supposed to be the same head height as the movie 1, 2, 3 Prime, and this guy is like half a head taller. So not a big difference of scale, but I guess if somebody is out there ready to nitpick, then that's what they're doing, I guess. Um, I always figured that Optimus Prime got a little bigger after he went into this mode here because he's all beefed out and bulky and looks like a bodybuilder. I don't know. I don't particularly like this specific aesthetic for Optimus. I didn't like that in the last two movies. Um, I like I didn't. I've never really liked the original movie designs because they don't look like they would actually transform. And it's only when you get like a physically, like a figure in your hands that does transform is when I really start to appreciate those designs. But this one looks even less like that, which is why a figure like this is interesting to me because it looks even less than the earlier Masterpiece Prime, like it actually transforms, but it does, which is great. So let's get into his accessories real quick. He comes with a sword, which is molded all in two parts here, I want to say, maybe three. Mostly just painted in this kind of a darker silver with some red and blue accents. Fairly swanky. He comes with a shield, which looks just like his shield in the movie. It does open up like so, and you can pop out this piece here and then close it again. That will allow him to put this in and hold it on his back. He's got a peg hole here on his back for holding that shield. So that works out quite well. Or, of course, you can stick it, on this forearm. It kind of gets in the way of these little shoulder things a bit, so it's good to pull one out of the way. The this weapon, by the way, it tabs into his hand just via this regular tab right here. The old masterpiece style thing. I always thought it weird that these movie 5 Optimus, they didn't have a gun. Like he had a gun in all the other movies. Just all of a sudden he's like, no, I've got a sword. I don't need a gun anymore. F you guys. And then next accessory he comes with, this has got his little punch blade thingamajig that fits into the mushroom peg relief slot here. And you can curl up his fist so it looks good. One thing I don't like about this figure is that he's got weak toes and he likes to fall forward. So you have to like balance him on his heels, which is more frustrating than it sounds, even though it even sounds a bit frustrating. Then he comes with this staff here in, this is just all painted in dark silver, kind of a gunmetal. No pegs or anything like that. I only watched this movie once. I don't recall if we really saw a Transformer-sized version of this Staff of Merlin, I want to say it was. But it does have a smaller version of this, all in die cast. Just a little tiny one. Of course, the detail isn't as good. None of the Masterpiece human figures, like Spike or whatnot, have got the means to hold this, but maybe you can have, like, Mega Block's character hold it. Ta-da! He comes with a knife, which I don't think that this knife actually goes with Optimus Prime. I don't remember it being in the movie. Pretty certain it goes with Peru Kill here. This is a knife that he can hold in his hand. With his janky looking thumb. Or you can take and one of these pegs here, you can attach it onto his wrist like that. Not wrist, but like, forehand. So that's kind of cool, I suppose. And lastly, he comes with an alternate head with the red face paint. Both heads are the same, except that this one here lights up with blue LEDs. There's a little button. There's a little button here on the ear. And that one lights up with blue LEDs. This one lights up with red LEDs. I'm not a battery person. I'm not an electronics, lights, and sound kind of a person, so I have never installed batteries in these, but I understand that they are pretty bright. You can switch out faceplates. It comes with an alternate faceplate for the red one, and it comes with a mouth face for the non-painted one. And you just take and yank this out. There's a single tab in there. You pull that out, put that in, and that's all that there is to it. All right, let's get all this out of the way. Let's get into his articulation. So for articulation, his head is on a pivot. It'll look up a fair degree. It'll look down a little bit, turn around. It is ever so slightly obstructed by these shoulder parts here, but I mean, you don't need his head to like helicopter around. Well, I suppose you can do that if you really want to. His arms will go out to the full tree pose. It's kind of nice because this whole little part like folds out of the way. It's on like a hinge here and a ball joint up here. So it gets out of the way for when you're moving his arm about. It will go all the way around. There is, I mean, this is technically a transformation joint, but it's also basically a butterfly joint. So that's something that you can use for that. He's got a bicep swivel here, double bend at the elbow. This little elbow detail here, by the way, is completely separate, and so something to be aware of. He's got a wrist swivel here. You can actually bend this as well like that. His thumb is on a hinge here, a hinge at this knuckle, and the hinge at this knuckle stay in place. His finger is at a hinge, 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 and the knuckles, and then the three fingers have got the same hinges, but they're all molded together. His waist he's got a waist swivel here, plus a dedicated ab crunch. His legs are kind of they're kind of weird here at the hips, because they've got this thing here which is kind of a transformation joint, but it's also, you can use it for poseability as well, where this pulls out to give you more range in that hip joint. But when you pull it out, it makes his waist section just look so hollow and see-through here that it's kind of visually jarring. By the way, this little skirt armor is attached on with like two joints, just a regular hinge here, and then a spring-loaded hinge at the lower area. So that's kind of interesting. These are just one hinge right here, no movable butt flap to speak of. So you can take and move his leg forwards that much, backwards that much. If you lower this down, actually it kind of lowered itself down, didn't it? That's exactly what happened. He has a pivot kind of up here in the hip joint. It is not terribly great, but it's okay. 90-degree of bend in the knee there. You've got one hell of a tilt here in the ankle, and that's it. No motion there. His toe will move like this, but there's very little, like I mentioned before, very little rigidity in that. And also, you don't want to slide him around on his feet a whole lot, because he's got chrome on the bottom of his feet. And I've had this figure for the better part of a year, and I don't really have any damage done to that. But it's always a good idea to be cautious when it comes to chrome. Because of course, chrome plating on plastic parts is delicate, though chrome plating on steel parts is, holy crap, pretty robust. Anyhow, so let's get down to transformation. I really like the way this figure looks. So at the time I bought this, the only other masterpiece-sized, masterpiece-styled figure of this type was Alien Attacks El Cid, and that figure, by all accounts, I understand, is just terrible, and so I didn't pick that up. Unique Toys came out with a good one and it looked great, and so I was like, I'm going to pick that up, which I did, and I like it. I understand that Toy World is coming out with one. If you've got an issue of scale, it might not be the one to pick up because it's significantly taller than this one, I understand. But I'm okay with getting a figure based solely on its, aesthetic and engineering, merits. And so that may be your stick as well, and you might want to pick one of those up. I don't know. Anyhow, so to get this guy started off, first what we're going to do is take his booby sections here and open them up. That's going to kind of allow us to open this and pull this all out. It's interesting, there's no boxy cab part to him because it all fits inside. He basically turns completely inside out in the course of this transformation, which is a similar sort of thing that Perukill did, but in some ways this is even more impressive. I still think that Perukill, all in all, is a better engineered figure. But this one is just, it's got some really good moments to it. I'm gonna take these little smokestacks here and rotate them around. This side always was easy for me, and this side always fights me. I may have to use a little bit of a leverage on that. All right. So what we're going to do with these is we're going to pull them out, pull this out, pull this around so that everything kind of comes around like that. Fold his hand up flat against his wrist. We're going to pop this. That's going to allow this section to kind of spring load out. And then we can take this and rotate it right here and then put this back down on top of that, and that's going to start making his cab parts. Rotate that around like so. Then we can tab this part in and get this into place and take this guy here. Ooh, put this down like that. So this is what one arm is going to turn into. So let's get the same going on with the other arm here. So we're going to take and rotate this and pull this down and rotate this around at the same time. Put that in. Fold his hand up against his arm. Unpeg this. By the way, I guess there is a certain degree of pertinence to this review because Unique Choice is apparently repainting and re-releasing this figure. They just announced it not too long ago, as of the time of this video, that they're making a black Nemesis version, which, if you ask me, the black version is definitely what makes a Nemesis Prime, not a little bit of red paint on his face. So, we're going to take his head and flip it. Oh, wait, we're not going to do that. We're going to take this whole section here. Pull this out. Pull this around. So now his head is on the inside. We're going to take these parts here. They come out on this little double hinge. These parts here, they want to, I mean, you can fold them up, but then they'll have trouble getting around the smokestacks. You really need to keep them out until you get all this into place, and then they'll kind of just pop in like that. And I'm not really gonna line anything up right now, but this is where it all lives in a little bit here. So for this side here, what we want to do is we want to start working with the legs and whatnot. So we're going to unpeg this part right here, and then that's going to allow this whole part to fold out, and this panel will just kind of, we'll set that in just a minute. That will fold out. This will fold out. This will fold out. Oh, hey, I really wanted to rotate this waist around, didn't I? Yes, as a matter of fact, I did. No, actually I don't. Never mind. I'm dumb. So we've got these panels starting to come out. We're going to pull this out. Pull that out. It's going to come around, bend around the tire like so. Let me get this where I can see it better. You want to take this and rotate it so that things don't fight each other. And then when you bend it over, you want to make sure that it bends over. There's this little lip around there, and you want to make sure that this cowling goes over that lip. And then this one I should have done when it was still up here. Yeah, like that. Fold that down, plug that in. With these movie style figures, like most of the job of transforming them is just turning it into a giant mess and then putting it all back into place. And this is absolutely no exception to that process. So now we've got the leg kind of into its position here. We're going to do that with the other leg here. So we're going to go pull this panel here, flip this out. There's this little panel right here. We're going to flip that. That's going to allow all of this to fold out. There's a panel right here. And then we're going to fold this toe in. We're going to rotate this and fold that out. Open this up, rotate this so that lines up, bring that down, fold the toe in, fold that back up, tab this into place. All right, so now we just kind of put it all into its home. And so I'm going to start up here, tab the arms together. There are a series of tabs. So you can see some of them in here. All right, now we're going to put these on top of that. There's this little tab right here that's going to plug into place. There is a couple of little panels up here that are going to plug into, there's little holes here. Maybe I should put those in when I move this. Ha ha ha. There we go. Fold those in. I want to take this side panel here, move that up, the little skirt armor thing. And then just going to take and connect this up, connect that up. There's a little tab here that's going to kind of fit into that. feel like I'm really doing something wrong. It has been a little bit since I've transformed this figure. There we go. I just had to swing those out fully all the way. There's a big old tab in between there that sticks those together. Yeah, now everything feels like it belongs. Nothing feels out of place. This rear bumper section is going to slide over these little tabs here. Just kind of hold those in place. And there we go. There is the Unique Toys Challenger in his vehicle mode. I've got a little, some sort of an internal tab issue. It's making that panel want to come out a little bit. But there he is. He really looks good in this mode. I mean, it's not a perfect transformation in that, like, there's still visible leg bits and of course all this gappiness around here. But I mean, I think that they did a good job with what they had. Like, I mean, for the design of this character, which literally doesn't transform. If you look at it on the movie, like, there's literally no possible way that it would transform. There's, you know, I will say there's pretty much no exposed truck parts on the character designs, you know, external and whatnot. So the fact that they were able to do what they could with what they've got, like, I mean, this is a really good figure, even despite the fact that it's not perfect. I don't think that a figure needs to be perfect in order to be good. But it looks good from all sides. It has, you know, rubber tires. Oh, I've got an issue right here. I didn't line up that cowling quite right when I moved it into place. Let's see if I can fix it without ripping everything all the way apart. Oh, yep, there you go. Just wrestle it into place. Anyhow, so he's got rubber tires. I know a lot of people really like that. I don't particularly. I would rather go with plastic tires than rubber tires pretty much any day of the week, because I've had way too many rubber tires deteriorate on me. And so my faith in rubber tires is minimal at best. But yeah, the truck mode looks really good. It cleans up fairly nicely. I mean, a little bit of gappiness back here aside, it cleans up fairly nicely. If I had any real beef with this mode here, it's that his paint is just, it's hit and miss. So it's red paint on blue plastic. And like this panel here seems fairly bright, but this panel here doesn't. And a lot of these panels, more of these panels seem dull compared to, you know, comparatively. especially when you factor in that this door right here, which does open, let's see if I can get that open. This door is molded in red plastic. It's pretty much the only thing on this whole truck that's molded in red plastic, which is kind of interesting because a lot of these things, sometimes you find them, oh, it's red plastic with blue paint on it, and sometimes they're blue plastic with red paint on it. It's by the way, there's no internal details, it's just all robot in there. But for some reason, these doors, I mean, they stick. I mean, technically, these little bits are red plastic as well, but they are a different material than this. So, like, when they're assembling this figure, there's just like a random sprue of red plastic with two little doors on it, and that's it. Yeah, I'm having some sort of an internal tab issue on this. I found that sort of thing always ends up being something like super minor, like maybe one of these shoulder sections isn't quite in the perfect place, or maybe, I don't know. Sometimes figures can be really finicky, and like the tiniest detail will cause a panel to not seat right. But all in all, I think that this figure comes highly recommended. Currently, as it stands, the figures for this character are going to be the alien attack El Cid, which is no good, and this figure here, which is pretty good. And whenever Toy World releases their other movie masterpiece version of this guy, that might be pretty good as well. I do know that looking at Toy World has been doing good stuff lately. They had that issue where their designers broke up with them and went off and formed their own company, Zeta Toys. And Zeta Toys has been continuing to produce the same sort of stuff that Toy World did and would have released. But Toy World, I hope that they have learned some important lessons from that whole experience. But they are killing it with those designs. I don't know that they've released a whole lot of them yet, but from what I've seen, some pretty impressive stuff going on there. But anyhow, thanks everybody for watching. You guys are awesome. You guys are fantastic. Everybody stay awesome and be good to each other. See ya.